Welcome to Sherwood. Ha!
It's Halloween, and as promised, we are in costume. I am Mark from the Dragon Sound movie. What's it called? Miami Connection.
And I am Robin of Locksley, also known as Robin Hood. Don't get your hopes up. I'm not wearing tights.
Say, Craig, what's the #1 childhood fear?
Monsters?
The monster under the bed.
Yes.
We've seen this in movies such as Monsters, Inc. and the other Monsters movie. Now, I'm not a father, but I've come up with what I would say to my child if they said there was a monster under the bed. You can't say there's no such thing as monsters.
Yeah.
That makes you an enemy. You look under the bed and you say, yeah, there's a monster under there. You want to see it? They come down to look. As soon as they look under the bed, you go, whoa! Man, that thing ran away fast. It must be afraid of you.
Oh, that's clever. My whole plan was finding really skinny kid, like 19 years old, actually get him in full monster regalia, put him under the bed. Don't worry, there's no monsters in the bed, but I'll check. What the what? How dare you, monster! Get out of this house!
Beat the crap out of him. 20 minutes later, you're out and back. Okay, kid, here's your $50.
50. 10.
I've got a bunch of movies that I've never seen before. You don't know what they are. Every episode, I'm going to spring one on you. It might be good, it might be bad. We'll watch it and talk about it. Welcome to the basement. There is an actor whose name has become synonymous with horror. He has never appeared on our show. He has only been heard. When you feel those eerie feelings creeping up and down your spine, they might just be lethal, because tonight we experience the Tingler.
Oh, hello. Vincent Price himself.
Released in 1959, The Tingler was directed by William Castle.
Ah, the chin.
This is his third appearance on our show as director and actor. The film stars Vincent Price, Judith Evelyn, and Daryl Hickman, whose real-life fiancée, Pamela Lincoln, plays his fiancée in the movie.
Now that is some method acting. This is the movie that William Castle would sometimes wire the seats.
Yes, Percepto.
To give you an actual shock while watching the movie.
Castle did tour around with this movie, and he would go in and wire the seats. John Waters has fond memories of that. He said he would sneak into the theater ahead of time, and he would find the seat that had the wires in it so he could get shocked.
Do I have to worry about the couch?
I'm not telling.
Well, I'm going to hold your hand the entire time. Not because I'm scared, but so you get shocked too.
That's why I'm wearing these.
Damn it.
Halloween's not just about being scared. It's about parties and doing fun things. Perhaps this gift will help you to have fun at your next party, or wherever.
Wow, look at this. It's these party favors and a skull.
Halloween blowouts.
Party favors. I've never liked that term.
It sounds like a sex thing.
Yeah.
Will you grant me some party favors this evening?
Sure, let me grab my blowout.
Open it up, let's have some fun.
Okay.
I just had more fun than you did. So slither on over to the old leather couch like you're some kind of creepy crawly tingler as we watch the Tingler.
Yeah! Matt!
It's the couch you thought was wired.
I know.
I am William Castle, the director of the motion picture you're about to see. Some of the sensations, some of the physical reaction
will be very arousing.
Strange, tingling sensation.
Ooh, puberty.
Others will feel it less strongly.
Puberty.
You can protect yourself.
Condoms.
You may obtain immediate relief by screaming.
Puberty.
Don't be embarrassed about opening your mouth and letting rip with all you've got. And remember this.
Don't poke a hole in the bottom of the popcorn bucket and do a nasty thing, because that's just not appropriate.
It's funny in diner, but really inappropriate. Hey, I'm trying to talk here. Shut up. A man screams his way to his own execution. He's a double murderer, and so he's getting the chair.
He's immediately taken to Dr. Warren Chapin for an autopsy, even though the cause of death is fairly obvious. Autopsist? Autopsier? Coroner. There's this guy hanging around in the hallway.
And his name is Ollie. He's the brother-in-law of the deceased. Warren and Ollie have an instant rapport together. There are broken vertebrae in the dead man's spine. What if there was an internal trauma caused by fear that could break the spine?
They come up with a name for it.
Now I think I'll call it the Tingler.
Or Susan.
Many people die in fear.
And many people die in Vegas.
You wouldn't be able to give me a ride into town, would you, Doc?
Oh, so that's why you're here.
Why, sure.
My name's Oliver Higgins.
Turns out that this guy's just escaping from jail.
Where do you live?
Fresno.
Ollie and his wife Martha own a theater downtown that shows old movies.
To label David.
You'd be surprised, though, how many people come to see these old pictures. Not just to make fun, either.
That's what we do.
Would you like to have a beer or a cup of coffee?
Oh, coffee'd be fine.
Strangely intimate.
Yeah.
I'm going upstairs and make some coffee. Open up later. Okay.
Oh, your brother's execution was great. Sorry you missed it.
Ollie invites his new friend up to the apartment.
Some of these old silents are just as good as the movies they make nowadays. Even with the sound and the color on
The electrified seats.
Martha comes up to put some money in a safe. Oh, the blood, the blood, the blood.
She is deaf and dumb, his words. This is so awkward.
Yeah.
I'm very uncomfortable watching this. She also doesn't like germs, and she certainly doesn't like blood.
Tingle. Ah! And starts bleeding.
She faints.
Don't touch her hand. No, more towels.
Go down and get the bag out of my car.
I need to perform an autopsy immediately.
He brings her back to awakefulness. All right, gotta go. Bye.
Don't touch the doorknob. Oh, now we have to watch that.
Warren goes home and he sees his sister-in-law, Lucy.
Tell me something more.
Tell me something more.
Tell me. Lucy expresses concerns about Isabel. That's Warren's wife. She's been running around with other men.
Have you had any dinner?
Not yet.
I'm not one of those funny coroners who eats a sandwich while doing autopsies.
Her fiancé is Dave.
Cut my head off.
The assistant to Dr. Chapin.
What do you mean keeping this beautiful girl waiting?
Chop my legs off.
I saw an interesting reaction this afternoon. There's this deaf mute. I cut my hand on a broken saucer and she went into total shock.
And I went into total orgasm.
Her husband thinks she faints at the sight of blood, but it isn't a true faint at all. Her unreleased tensions grow so great that she goes into psychosomatic blackout.
So she faints.
Dave has also brought Warren this drug that he asked for.
It's lysergic acid, but we call it LSD.
Still legal in 59.
Ah, 8:28, the witching hour.
Warren looks out the window and he sees Isabel. She's kissing another man. Ooh, he's mad at her. He gets a gun.
There's a word for you.
There's several for you.
One of them is Hobag.
You're a shrewd and evil woman, Isabel.
Shrewd and evil woman. Doodly-doo-doo-doo-doo.
I got a gun. Go in the lab.
You should come in here more often, dear.
There are monkeys in here.
He shot her with ghost bullets.
He takes her over to the examination table,
Gives her a few x-rays.
and suddenly she wakes up. She wasn't dead after all. That gun was full of blanks.
I took these x-rays of my wife while she was scared and passed out.
Wow, look at that.
Look at the can on your wife. This little creepy worm on her spinal column. The Tingler. It's real.
We've come a long way, Dave.
Baby.
And we got a long way to go.
Baby.
And perhaps not.
Baby.
Kids can scare themselves by lying in the dark and making ghosts out of chairs, but we can't.
Or can we?
Boo!
Ah! Jesus! Oh! Oh!
Dr. Chapin decides he's got to dive even deeper into his research. So he takes a double dose of LSD.
That drug you brought.
It's not a drug, it's an acid.
It's a stone cold groove, man.
Dave and Lucy suspect something's going on, so they spy on him.
Don't come in. I'm tuning in and turning on, but I have yet to drop out.
And he freaks out.
The walls. The walls.
You're supposed to be saying doors. It's the doors of perception, not the walls of perception.
The walls!
He's only suffering in his mind. Nothing is hurting him.
It sounds to me that Dave has also taken LSD.
I got real scared when I screamed it all went away. I guess that must be the Tingler.
If only he could find someone who can't scream.
Well, everybody can scream.
Everybody screams sometimes. But who would do that voluntarily? You know, you don't need volunteers when you have Martha.
Warren goes to see Ollie and Martha.
She's been a nervous wreck for the last 2 days.
Ever since she saw that drop of blood, she hasn't been able to sleep or eat or do anything. I'll go up and see her.
Would you like me to check you over?
He gives her an injection to help her sleep. Goes back down to see Ollie, gives him a prescription for some pills.
I have time to have a beer, don't I, Doc?
Ollie invites him for a beer, as is his custom.
Oh, I'd like to very much, Ollie, but I have some work to finish.
I need to go grab my x-ray machine and bring it down here and put it in your apartment. You go get that beer.
Martha's not sleeping at all. She's starting to see strange things.
Doors are closing, windows are shutting.
What's that lump under the blanket?
Ah!
Whoa, it's a goon. That's scary.
You got me, Bill Castle.
Another door opens. There's a arm of some sort of bugbear with an axe.
Throws it at her.
Wha-cha! Ha ha! She goes into the bathroom. The bathroom can't be weird. Yeah, it's real weird.
Oh, nice.
And look at that tub. And look at that.
Nice to meet you.
And she can't scream.
Oi, my Tingler. That makes her die.
Ollie shows up at the doc's door. Hey, I got my wife in the car. I think she's dead. Takes her into the lab.
Just a couple of beers, and when I got home, there she was.
You said you were going out for one beer. This is your fault.
Ollie, your wife is dead. I'm very sorry.
That's too bad. Do you want to get a beer?
What do you want to know?
Please, Ollie, this outpouring of grief is embarrassing. Pull yourself together, man.
And something must have terrified her just before she died.
Well, I sent this shady doctor up to see her, and that could have something to do with it. The doc performs a quick autopsy. And he removes a giant wriggling tingler.
And it's icky and sticky.
It wraps around his arm, tight like a vice. But when the doc screams...
It's its only weakness.
What happened?
It attacked him.
What the hell? Isabel sees the tingler too. Why does she seem aroused by the tingler? She goes out and mixes some drinks, and she puts a little something in one of the drinks.
Thank you, Ollie.
Take my apron off for me, please. Dr. Chapin says, well, we better call a funeral home.
Couldn't I just take her home and call him in the morning?
What? That sounds reasonable. He scoops up the corpse and goes off into the night.
Let's celebrate finding the tingler.
Let's knock boots. Isabel and Warren have some drinks. Isabel says, I'm going to be a good wife from now on. Warren says, yeah, I'll buy that for $1.
Hello?
New phone, who this? He drinks his drug drink, falls asleep. Back in Ollie's apartment, he's got his dead wife there in the bed. He starts going around and collecting certain objects. Ollie killed his wife! Isabel goes and gets that tingler. This might take care of my husband.
Oh, this Flocati rug is just wonderful.
The tingler crawls up, gets him around the neck. Can't scream when you're being choked.
Oh, I know that sound. It's just Dr. Warren doing his late night hobby.
Fortunately, Lucy comes home and saves him.
This thing is too dangerous.
I don't want anyone to know about this tingler, even though it'll make you scared and break your spine.
Call Ollie. Ask him the name of the funeral parlor where he left his wife.
If we take the tingler and give it back to its host body, there's no more fear because she's dead. The tingler will just die.
Ollie doesn't answer.
Well, then call the police or
Call the beer store.
call him until he answers.
Use the traditional way of calling Ollie. Ollie Octoon free. Back at Ollie's place, he's packing a bag too, filled with all that money.
He killed his wife so he can keep that $900 all to himself.
Ollie, I need access to your wife. I have the, I'm gonna set this here. Let's go back and see how she's doing.
And he finds out that Ollie is the murderer. While they're yakking back and forth, the tingler breaks out of the cage. The tingler's escaped. There's a loose board over there. Where does that go?
The theater.
The theater.
Down in the theater, it's a packed house to enjoy this old silent movie that no one's ever heard of.
One of y'all labeled me.
The tingler creeps down. There's a lady getting molested by a brute.
Have we met? Hands off, Kavanaugh.
He crawls up on that lady's leg.
Well, at least it's not that guy.
There's a panic, and so you do what you should do if people are panicked in the theater. Just turn off all the lights.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is no cause for alarm.
After a brief announcement from the management, the movie continues.
I've become intolerable.
The Tingler has crawled up to the projection booth.
Robert Crumb, look out!
The film is eaten, and this thing passes over the lens. It's the Tingler.
There's another announcement. If you're going to save yourselves...
Scream for your lives.
Ah!
The Tingler is loose in this theater.
Ah!
They take the Tingler back upstairs, put it into Martha's body where it'll magically dissolve. Ollie, there's a little matter of the fact that you killed your wife.
Guess they'll probably electrocute me, won't they, Doc?
Depends on which seat you're sitting in the theater. You're going to go to jail. Bye.
Martha doesn't forgive that easy.
What's that stirring on the bed? Is she rising up from death and staring at him and scaring him? Is he going to be scared to death?
Oh, nuts.
So next time you're scared, be sure to scream.
Ah!
The Tingler. We survived.
Yes.
I think any horror movie should deliver three things.
Mm-hmm.
It should have tension, it should have scares, and it should give you something you don't expect. I think this movie does all three.
All three, all right. The
Yeah.
tension.
That scene where he goes to visit them the first time. Totally tense because it's so awkward.
Yeah.
There's also tension in this doctor revealing himself to be kind of increasingly amoral.
Yes.
And what is he capable of? Martha's LSD trip, or is it? The bugaboos she sees around the apartment, that's pretty scary.
That is legitimately scary. I was not expecting that guy to happen, yeah.
I really didn't expect the plot twist of the murdering husband.
No.
So it's my understanding that this movie has an entry in the Variety Sci-Fi Movie Guide.
The Tingler, good gimmicks used well with horror framework. That is the sub-headline right there.
I want to talk about another stunt that Castle would do with this film. Not only the Percepto, he would always have a doctor on site. At that moment when the Tingler creeps on the lady's leg, there's a plant in the actual audience that screams and faints. So when he makes that announcement,
A young lady has fainted.
he's making it to the live audience.
Yes.
And while that's happening, the nurse comes in and takes the fainted lady away.
It's P.T. Barnum. Look at him coming out. That's basically what P.T. Barnum would look like in the 1950s.
He's not just a maker of B-movies. He commits crimes against science and crimes against cinema. The science in this is ridiculous. And things happen that have no basis in anything. Why does the wife come back to life?
Because it's scary.
Avengeful. Because it's exactly, yeah. These things that happen have no root in reality, and maybe that's okay.
If you want someone who's going to be spouting scientific mumbo-jumbo, Vincent Price is a wonderful person to do that for you. He's interesting to listen to no matter what he's babbling on about.
You know, it's interesting that you call William Castle P.T. Barnum. I think you're right. He's creating a benevolent scam. This movie makes no sense. The science in this movie is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you're going to come see it, and you're going to love it anyway. Mm-hmm. That's my scam.
Well, let's talk about the real star of the movie, the Tingler. I really did not expect to see that thing. And when I did see that thing, I was going to think, oh, it's a rubber thing that they're flopping around. That puppetry wasn't bad.
It was pretty darn good.
Yeah, you didn't see its legs going, but...
You didn't see any wires.
Had there been a movie that used LSD in it?
No.
Before 1959?
This was the first depiction of LSD in a major motion picture.
It was interesting how they showed it. That they didn't try showing you what LSD was like.
There was a little blurriness. And
there was blurriness
things like that.
eventually, but the beginning was just him going...
This is an era before LSD became infamous.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a science thing.
Yeah.
I think the screenwriter had read an article about it and thought it was interesting, and so he incorporated it into the story. So it's really fascinating to see that view of it, you know, before LSD became acid.
Yeah. I love it when movie theaters are attacked in movies. Castle plainly loves it as well.
There were a lot of scenes of this pseudoscience mumbo-jumbo, and they dragged on and they were boring.
Yep, and Castle doesn't really know how to set up a shot for just life. We talked about that back when we watched Mr. Sardonicus. So Vincent Price's voice isn't enough to overcome just very stagnant shots of two guys talking.
Our screams have subsided, and we have watched The Tingler. If you haven't seen it, get ready for some scares. pen dropping over here.
Yeah, I'm so nervous I'm knocking over my writing utensils.
And now here's something that might give you a little bit of a tingle. Seen it. Our theme for tonight, naturally, is horror.
Tingler had a lot to do with screaming, and Ben writes, seen it? Scream! 1996. Seen it!
Seen it. It was very exciting when it came out, because it really felt like something new.
Yeah.
It was like Blair Witch Project in that way.
It very successfully balances out the comedy with the horror,
Yeah.
which is very hard to do.
Yeah, it's like a horror parody that's not actually a parody.
Also, it's very meta, talking about itself, and yet it seems like it's a natural part of the plot, which is also very tricky to do. I can't think of another Wes Craven movie where he does comedy.
Last House on the Left is pretty funny.
It is?
No. I have here a movie that was sent to us in our P.O. box. Thanks to the viewer who did that. It's 30 Days of Night. Seen it.
Started watching it and just grew disinterested.
That's surprising to me because I really enjoyed this, even though it stars the terminally boring Josh Hartnett. He's trying to do this smoldering James Dean thing, and he just can't pull it off. It's a really interesting take on the vampire. They're almost wild animals.
Yeah.
This DVD has a defect. There's about a 5-minute stretch in the third act that won't play. It really felt like a grindhouse experience. And it's actually almost exactly the same as in Robert Rodriguez's Planet Terror when they skip a scene. It stopped right at the beginning of something that was going to be a lot of action, and then it picks up just after that scene ends.
That was scary. Too bad we lost Mom.
Exactly.
Another viewer sent this 10-pack of family favorites, and within it is Matinee, directed by Joe Dante. Seen it.
Seen it. Matinee is not a horror movie, but it is about a horror movie, and it's about a man who makes horror movies who bears a strong resemblance to William Castle. I had always been under the impression that this was a biopic of William Castle.
Okay.
But it's not. It's a guy like him. It's also about the horrors of the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah, it's a very weird movie.
It is.
You know, it's sold as a teen comedy, and there are parts of it that work straight up as a teen comedy, but there's this ominousness over the entire thing.
Yeah.
The love interest is just kind of like almost like a zombie girl. Her brother's gone off to this place called Vietnam, and she's just so terrified of the world.
Part of the greatness of Joe Dante is not that he makes great movies. Like Steven Soderbergh, he makes movies that are simply enjoyable. You never have a dull time watching a Joe Dante movie.
No.
And this movie finds John Goodman delivering one of those really nice movies are magic monologues.
Yeah.
And it just makes you feel good about watching movies. Ryan Mudd, have you guys seen Gremlins? Of course, I've seen it.
Seen it in the theater.
It's a horror movie. It's a Christmas movie. It's a comedy, kind of.
Yeah, oh, definitely. That's what I walked away with.
And it's another masterpiece from Joe Dante.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a trope. Well, it's definitely a trope. But it is also the cornerstone of this movie. It's whatever you do, don't do this thing.
Don't do these 3 things.
Yeah. And that's really the tension, because you know you're going to see those 3 things done in that order,
Yeah.
and it's going to be a disaster. The model work and the puppet work in this is outstanding. There's
You
not
never
a
doubt.
not a
You never
computer
doubt
graphic to be seen. And ever since then, whenever I hear that "Do You Hear What I Hear" Christmas carol, I get creeped out. Don't be scared. Go to our website, welcometothebasementshow.com. There are all of the episodes we've ever made, and there are PayPal donation buttons. You can make a monthly or one-time donation to help support this show. It's a kind thing to do. One of our generous donors is Martin from Denmark, who says, I want to send a special thanks to Craig. Some time ago, he quoted the Magnetic Fields' I Don't Want to Get Over You, which I checked out, and it ended up with them now being one of my favorite bands.
Ah, I love that album.
And he says that you should check out Twin Peaks Season 3.
I know I should.
We hope we've sufficiently scared you here in October with our vampires and our tinglers. And we hope you'll join us next time where you don't know what kind of movie it's going to be. And now, take a look at this.
My God, she's alive.
She's not alive, Ollie.
Those are merely post-mortem ab crunches.
She moved.
May I find out why?
Sure, Doc, sure. Anything you want.
Including beer.
Ah!